the way. What I won't do is what I've been saying that I won't do, that I know you guys get frustrated with me not doing, is looking at our depth charts, like names, black and white names, but no football being played or anything, looking at the depth charts and seeing a position and then saying, man, you got to get that position, but a player has to play that position. And so that's why I've always been saying, look, we want to get good players, because if you get a guy that can play a position and say, look, like, what was the question that you asked, Brad? The 50th time you asked pass rushers, like, well, you can draft a pass rusher every round. You could. It's easy. That's just like if a coach told me, man, we want a guy that's 6'4", 250. If you got a guy 6'4", 250, that's easy. You want a guy 6'4", 250, yeah. I don't know if he's a good football player, but he'll be 6'4", 250. Where the same as, yeah, you can draft a defensive end. That guy, if the player playing defensive end is not what we feel is going to be the right guy to really contribute to our football team, then what are you guys going to write about that player? You guys, man, that's not working. Well, so we're not going to reach on players just to fill a position. So that's what we won't do. Um,
And you heard them. Just because it's a crushing need, they're not going to reach. And I keep telling y'all that. And every year you get the people that do these mock drafts, or they talk about they should draft defense every round. It don't work like that. I keep telling y'all every year we have the same conversation, and the draft simply doesn't work. It doesn't function like that. This is how you miss out on guys like DK Metcalf, or you miss out on guys like Lamar Jackson. This is how you miss out on guys. The game doesn't work that way, bro. So check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. So you have to go out there and get guys that fit what you're looking for a football player. Now, will you step outside your need for some, or you step outside your scope of support or your structure? Yes. Everybody makes exceptions to the rules. It might be somebody that may not give all the qualities for a gritty guy, but guess what? Every guy on the football team can't be gritty or can't be tough. Some guys have to be the exception to the rule. Some guys might have to be flamboyant. Like I said, when you build a football team, you need all types of guys. You need church choir boys to help the guys that's a little bit wild, for them to kind of, find their way. You need wild boys. You need crazy boys. You know what I'm saying? You need a mixture of people. You need a nice mixture of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. If God created everybody the same, it'd be like that movie, like I say all the time, Pleasantville. Never seen Pleasantville? Go watch it. Got the mom from Tobey Maguire, the mom from Malcolm in the Middle. I think Reese Witherspoon is in it. Paul Walker, rest in peace to him. He's in it. So that's what I kind of be trying to tell y'all, man. You need a nice mixture of personalities and people on the team. Everybody just can't be humble. And, what I get from a lot of white people is they don't like the boastful or the braggadocious type of people. And I get it, but you got to understand, that's the culture. That's the culture sometimes. You can't sit here and you can't sit here and you can't sit here and expect everybody to pretty much be the same guy. And that's just you to play, even to go out there in the military, you got to be a certain type of crazy and have a certain type of swagger. You know what I mean? So yes, I love the idea of him talking about we're not going to be married to a need. He's right. That's how you miss out on great players, Hall of Fame type players. Only time you probably put a need above anything is a quarterback. You put a need above everything is probably a quarterback. So they're gonna get the best possible guy, and they'll figure it out. I'm pretty sure they got a plan A, plan B, post June 1st cuts. I'm pretty sure they got a plan. But I think people looking at it, you're not trading for Trey Hendrickson. You let Za'Darius Smith go. He might end up going somewhere else. And you're not pretty much filling the void. And we had a void. You can't just count on Hutch. Can't count on Lee McNeil next year neither. Why? Because he's injured. At that weight, you pretty much can't expect him to come back and do anything, right? So, I love what he said here because that's how I look at the draft. Everybody else looks at the draft like, well, get the best player available. It doesn't work that way, bro. I mean, I get the biggest need. It doesn't. That's how you miss. He said Lions willing to move up or down in the draft for the right guy, and that's how it is. He's been showing you that from the Branch Laporta draft, from the drafts where he moved up, moved back, and got Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, he's going to they have a guy, and it always doesn't work out. Injuries. You don't know how a lot of these guys are going to act when they get the money. You don't understand a lot of these kids today. They don't do well with adversity. That's what happened when the man doesn't stay in the house. A lot of men have to figure out, hey man, you just can't quit. You can't quit. You got to keep going. I had to learn that in life. You can't quit. You have to keep going and going and going and going and going. And it's tough. Listen to me, man. It's tough. But it's like, if you ever, if you into running, what I'm saying? Like you dread running. Some people may like running, but if you're into running any type of distance, you dread it. But kind of once you kind of get to doing it and you get closer and closer to whatever your goal is, or you start you start making your goal, or you start making improvement. Once you get into it, you like, man, you just telling yourself, man, this was easy. you know, like you feel accomplished. Like if I would have quit, I wouldn't accomplish this. So being feeling the accomplishment that come with it, that you didn't quit and you keep going, you build on that. One time you do it, then another time you do it, and then you start putting things together. You start putting, stringing good things together, and you just notice that's the key to life. I gotta keep going no matter how tough it is. I gotta figure it out. But Lions general manager, shout out to Eric Woodyard. Lions general manager Brad Holmes says he's willing to trade up and down to get the right guy next week's draft. And similar to past drafts since he took over 2021, Holmes, whose first selection will pick number 28, won't chase needs, will remain aggressive in getting a player Detroit wants. In 2022, Holmes traded up 20 spots from 32 to take Alabama's receiver Jameson Williams to 12 pick. In 2023, after an unprecedented start to the draft from the teams in front of the Lions, he surprised many, and he traded the 6th overall pick to Arizona for pick 12 and 34. There, the Lions grabbed running back Jahmyr Gibbs and Iowa linebacker Jack Campbell. So far, Holmes' process has worked. Since 2021, the Lions have selected 6 players under the Holmes leadership who's been selected to the Pro Bowl, including Gibbs with the most in the league, and that's in that span per ESPN research. Quote, I think the first couple years there's probably a little bit more because where we were at as a roster. It was like, man, we need this, Holmes said during the Thursday pre-draft news conference. Quote, like I told you guys at the time, man, we need everything. So there was not just a position or anything. We just need really good football players. We have a lot of really good football players now, but I don't think that's where we are now as a roster is going to lessen my desire to want to get more better football players because you can't pay everybody. Guys, they get old. Guys get old. Guys retire or it's time, for a lot of guys, it's time, it's just tired of doing this or, I don't want to be here no more. You got to move, whatever it may be. It's a revolving door, you know. So we know about everything. He said one thing I would love about him is he doesn't care where he gets his guys, but he identifies where those guys are and he simply takes them. Say ESPN draft analyst Jordan Reed, and he identified those guys that are Detroit Lions embody everything about them. He doesn't really care what the consensus is about the guy's draft positional value or whatever that may be. He identifies the guy that checks the boxes of characteristics that the Lions are looking for, and if their culture fit, it doesn't matter if that's in the first round, the fourth round, the seventh round, or whatever. He's going to go out and get his guys. So that was Jordan Reed football analyst. That's a Thursday home, so we already know that. So he told people to get their popcorn ready and enjoy it. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, um, this was his background of drafting guys and finding guys that fit the mold. And I think he's done a pretty good job of that, finding guys that fit the mold and fit the lines. But every now and again, they're going to go outside their scope of support, and they're going to get guys that don't fit that mold. That might not fit the mold or be a tweener or whatever. That's just life. That's just what it is. So I understand where people sit there and they like, you might look at Jameson like that's a guy, but you see Jameson Williams, even on that Montgomery touchdown a couple of years ago versus the Chargers, he's blocking 50 yards downfield. That's a football player. A guy a receiver that's willing to block and willing to do the dirty work, you know what I'm saying, and do all those things is just to the point where like, damn, you know what I'm saying? You see why the Lions selected him. You need colorful personalities in the locker room. You need dull personalities in the locker room. Like if you had children, they all not gonna have the same personality, homeboy. And you don't want them to all have the same personalities. If you want the dogs, all your dogs not gonna have the same personality. Even if they came from the same litter, they all gonna have different personalities, and that's what you truly love. You love about life. That's what you love about life. Just my opinion. Different personalities. You're not gonna feng shui with everybody. You're not gonna click with everybody, but Holmes has done an amazing job so far. So I think he's, almost there where he deserves the benefit of the doubt. So let me know what you girls and guys think. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. The subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance to notifications. We go live and drop video. Financially, want to support the channel? Cash App, $CJ Good 313. Venmo, CJ Good 313. PayPal link description. Peace.